Well, hello, everyone. So, I never thought much about running, never had any strong feelings either way. That is until I joined the Army. Then I hated it. When they say we run every day, we ran every day. It wasn't so much the running that bothered me, it was my body revolting against me when I ran. With each run, long or short, I'd always end up with shin splints and stress fractures. Now, if you're not familiar with a shin splint, just close your eyes for a minute and imagine walking barefoot across a floor filled with gravel and crushed glass. Yep, that's the feeling. Well, I continued running. I was still in the Army, and eventually I began to build up some endurance. My heart jumped on the bandwagon because it was a constant romantic. And when I ran, it spoke to me saying, "We are running with the wind," or so he thought. My mind enjoyed running just because it didn't have to do anything. Just breathe in, breathe out, no multitasking. And I found the more I ran, the more my endurance built and the faster I went. No longer was I just seeing the running pack from afar. I was actually catching up to them until one day the leader of the pack slowed down to wait for me to come and catch up. Now, you would think that I would celebrate that moment, happy to be recognized for all my effort. But instead, I panicked and my mind started to speak to me. On one side was the little man with the forked tail. I think we all have one. And he spoke first. And he said, "Celeste, you know I'm your best friend, and I always have your interest at heart. You've done a great job running, and you almost caught up to the pack. But can you stay with them once you get there? I think not. Much better for you to just slow down and stay where you are." Now, the other guy, the one with the halo on top of his head, he said, "You go, girl. You got it. Get on up there and run with the pack. You can do it." Now, what did I do? I stopped dead in my tracks and I watched as the pack ran into the distance and disappeared. You see, even though I had built my endurance up, I didn't have the confidence. I still kept running because I was still in the Army. But even when I got out of the Army, I ran off and on. There were a lot of false starts and stops, but eventually I found myself signing up for a training group to run a marathon. Now, for those of you who have not run a marathon, it's over 22 miles. And you might say to yourself, "Well, I thought you were suffering all these injuries." And that's true, but I had devised a plan. I was going to fool my body into letting me run. So before and after every run, I iced my shins for 30 minutes. Now, if you've never iced your shins, just imagine that you're running on popsicle sticks. That's what it felt like. And it worked for a long time. I got up to 13 miles. And then my body woke up. "Look, Celeste, I let you run 13 miles, but that's it. No more. This has got to stop. 13 miles is your limit." I didn't listen. I kept trying to run. But the minute I went over 13 miles, I'd get an injury. Finally, I had to find an alternative. And that alternative was the Army 10 miler. I showed up on race day with my running belt on, with my water bottle, check on the right side, and my cheese and peanut butter crackers, check on the left side in a pouch. I was all decked out in the running swag. I had my t-shirt on, I had my bib on the back, I had my timer. I was ready to go. And I positioned myself about 3/4 of the way back in the crowd. Not in the front, but not all the way in the back either. And I took off, running slow and steady, breathing in, breathing out. And eventually, I found myself at the last half mile. Instinctively, I leaned forward, ready to give it my all, because that's how I had practiced. Towards the finish line, I would always lean forward and run as fast as I could through the finish line. And just as I was about to do that, the guy with the forked tail spoke up. And he said, Celeste, here I am. You are doing a fantastic job. And you know, I am so proud of you. But I really think that you need to slow down. Just keep it slow, or better yet, even walk. That way you are sure to make it across that finish line. The other guy, the one with the halo on his head, he spoke up again. This time he said, we're not having that. You go, girl. You get across that finish line and run as fast as you can. And this time I listened because I now had the confidence. And I leaned in and I ran all the way through that finish line. These days, I don't run much, if at all. I'm dealing with the aches and pains that come with getting older, but I'm still in the race. Running had taught me to deal with those kinds of physical challenges. And my experiences have proved so helpful in helping me face those challenges. And for that, I am forever appreciative.